Everybody, welcome back. We cannot believe that it's that time, the denouement of our 2020 Startup of the Year Summit. I'm Frank Gruber.
And I'm Jen Consalvo, and we're the co-CEOs of Established and managing partners of Established Ventures. And we have loved being your hosts this week. Thank you to each of you for spending time with us. Whether you could attend all of Summit or just a few moments here and there, we're really grateful that you've been here. Trust me, we know it's tough to sort of balance home and work from home, but we want you to know that showing up for events like this really does make a difference to these startups. And if you're here to connect with others, start or grow your own company, or gain some tips from our conversations with fascinating people, we hope you felt it was worth the time. We hope that you've been able to create your own Summit experience. One has worked for you.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. You know, our mission here with the Startup of the Year is to support founders and teams. And we do so by sharing and connecting, right? So we've got we connect with leaders and mentors and experts. And that's why the summit is so important.
Right. That's why we do it every year.
Yes.
And one of the coolest elements this year is that we were able to open the doors to some of our top 100 pitches and the Q&A with the judges, which we don't normally do. So that was really cool this year. And the year-round competition culminates now. We are ready for these pitches and the awards.
Down, yeah.
Yes, it's about to go
down. Wait. I have an idea, though. I got an idea. Okay, wait. How about we do this? So everyone's watching us live, and we've got an audience here. Why don't we reach out and make sure that everyone gets their friends to come to this, right? So
I like that.
You've got a chance.
You can't normally do that at a live event.
Right. So you could literally go send out the tweets, send out the messages, the Instagrams, whatever, TikTok, do a dance, whatever you want to do, and share the fact that this is happening right now. There's a link out there. It's free. We definitely want to get all of those folks that are out there that are on the sidelines to come and check it out.
All right, I'm going to post and share right now.
Okay, yeah, we should take a photo of it too.
Okay.
See that? Take a quick photo. Boom, Chakalaga.
All right. Oh, another one?
One more.
Okay, we got that picture.
Okay, phew. All right, got that out of the way. Speaking of joining the conversation, we can go out there and you can use the hashtag Startup of Year, and you can become a part of the conversation. We've been sharing it all week. There's been some fantastic tweets and messages on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. People are sharing quotes and their favorite parts about some of the conversations that we've had over the last 3 days. And the sharing doesn't have to stop now, right? This is the exciting part. We've got startups here. They are vying for this potential investment from Established Ventures. And so if you're out there watching, cheer on your favorite company, share some of their things that they're saying about their company and maybe your favorites, and use the hashtag Startup of the Year.
Sharing is caring.
Sure is.
So here's what to expect. We're about to announce the top 15 companies and some amazing honorable mentions and world impact companies. Then we'll announce the top 5 finalists. These 5 startups will immediately present their pitches and dive into Q&A with our finals judges. After that, while we go into our deliberation room, you'll have a chance to hear directly from those expert judges again. So we'll do a little bit of a Q&A.
Those Q&As are really fun. I mean, you think about it, these are amazing folks that come see a ton of different startups. They have great knowledge. They've been investing for a while. So definitely tune into that portion. And then right after we come out of deliberation, the deliberation chamber, if you will, we're going to announce the .US Veteran Startup of the Year winner, which is a super exciting new thing we've been doing this year, new category. And then the 2020 Startup of the Year champion will be announced following. So that's a lot of fun. So before this action starts, so it's important we say a few things about some of the folks that made this possible. We want to thank, gratitude is important. We want to thank everyone that made it possible, including our team, Established team, but also our sponsors. So first off, .US was a partner this year, and .US shares some of the same values we do about underserved and under-recognized innovators. And so with them, nearly 20% of this year's applicants were veteran-led. So really appreciate all those veterans out there and what they've done for our country. And we're excited to announce that 18 out of the top 18 out of the top 100 were veteran-led. So that's pretty amazing too. So with them, obviously, we're going to announce our .US Startup of the Year, which is coming shortly.
Very soon. It's been incredible, especially when we've been just celebrating veterans just last week.
Yeah.
We also want to say thank you to Cloud 303 and their sponsorship and participation in the summit. Cloud 303 specializes in getting the most out of your startup's relationship with AWS. Everyone knows AWS, including your AWS credits, funded contracting, consulting, and training. So thank you, Phil, the CEO, for joining us this week as an AMA speaker and a mentor.
All of your questions answered about the clouds. Or the cloud.
The cloud.
Lots of questions. Anyway, hundreds of ecosystem leaders across the country help to make this possible and help us find all these promising startups all around the country and the globe. So we obviously want to thank them as well. We've got this year's Startup Community Ambassadors. Those are the community partners that have introduced us to 5 or more startups that are part of the Startup of the Year program. That's phenomenal. So thank you to these folks from Hello Alice, American Inno in their 15 cities across the country, Bunker Labs, Centropolis, Accelerator, Pledge 1%, Halcyon, Startup Grind, Tampa Bay Wave, Startup Techstars, and many, many more, all listed on the partners page of this platform if you want to check it out. Yep. There's more to list, obviously. There's been a lot of folks helping. We love helpers, and there's been a lot of help, so thank you.
And likewise, these investment community ambassadors, again, they sent more companies to this competition from their own portfolios: Backstage Capital, Founders First Capital Partners, Grind Capital, NextGen Venture Partners, and Springtime Ventures. And again, there are many more that helped us, but we just want to highlight those because they sent so many great companies to us. So if you'd like to join us in this sort of group endeavor to support startups in the future, you can learn more at the link shown, startupofyear.com/partner-with-us, and be part of the community.
That's a lot. That's a lot of dashes, but we really appreciate all those partners. Obviously, a great group of both, different types of folks that are a part of the ecosystem, and we couldn't do it without you, and we look forward to adding more and continue to build this out. So definitely follow that link and let us know if you want to be a part of this amazing Startup of the Year community. All right, so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Time to get this party started. All right, so how should we do this, Jen?
I think we should start with honorable mentions.
Yeah, honorable mentions, and then the Impact Awards, right? So we got a couple different new things this year. The honorable mentions will be folks that didn't make the top 15 or top 5, but they are doing amazing things out there in the world, and we want to recognize them. They're going to be great. Like, they're going to be amazing companies. And then obviously the Impact Awards are making impact on the world right now with some of the stuff they're doing. It really pulls at your heartstrings with some of the things that they're up to. So two great awards this year in groups of companies. And then we've got our top 15 and top 5 finalists for this year's program. So actually, rather than us mention it, let's roll this clip.
Yes, watch closely.
Wow, that really gets you going. I don't know about you guys, but I was jiving with that music, and it was a lot of fun. So what an amazing companies and what a group of Startup of the Year program companies this year.
Congratulations to all of you. And in case you missed it, the top 5 finalists that are pitching just in a moment are Finmark from Raleigh, North Carolina, Glass from Berkeley, California, HOYHEALTH from Morristown, New Jersey, Genie from Washington, D.C., and Solo Friends from Los Angeles, California.
And that little montage made me so excited. I had to go get my other jacket, my fun jacket. This is the Startup of the Year top 5 finalist jacket.
So this jacket has seen many a Startup of the Year final stages.
Yes, it has.
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition. And congrats to all the companies, as we just mentioned, that competed, not just the companies that are here today. You all did a fantastic job, and you're all out there doing stuff to change the world, and we're really excited that you chose us to be part of the journey. And obviously, we're going to continue to pay it forward and help you out along the way as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's now that time, the time we've been waiting for. The top 5 finalists are going to compete here for the 2020 Startup of the Year finals. But let's first start by introducing our top 5, our 5 expert judges to the stage. So all these are leaders from the industry, all investors, and they're going to be joining us and engaging with the Q&A with these amazing finalists. So let's start by first welcoming Anna Mason. Anna Mason is a partner at Revolution's Rise or Rest Fund. She's also a recovering bond trader and is an eternal optimist and proud evangelist of startups everywhere in cities across the United States. Her a fun fact about Anna is that she's traveled to 44 cities on the Rise of the Rest tour bus. Pretty amazing. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Jen. I'm super excited to be with you all today.
Great to see you. Thanks for doing it.
All right, next up, let's welcome Kerr. Karen is the founder and managing director of Exposition Ventures. She's passionate about partnering with entrepreneurs to build technology-based companies. She's spent more than 2 decades as an investor, instigator, and advisor to intrepid entrepreneurs. And most recently, Karen was the executive managing director at GE Ventures, where she oversaw investments in advanced manufacturing, supply chain logistics, and enterprise software companies. And a fun fact, Martina Navratilova critiqued her college admission essay. I love that fact.
She's a tennis player, tennis star. Pretty amazing. That's a lot of fun.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, great to be here.
Awesome. All right, next up, we'd like to welcome Toney. Lo is a founding managing partner of Plexo Capital, which was incubated inside of Google Ventures, or GV. And it was based on a strategy to increase the access to early stage deal flow. Plexo Capital invests in emerging seed stage VCs, as well as directly into those VCs' portfolio companies or their startups. Investors in Plexo Capital include Alphabet, the holding company for Google, Intel Capital, Cisco Investments, Ford Foundation, and many more. Fun fact about Toney is he's an avid comic book collector, which is pretty cool. Welcome, Lo.
Hey, how you doing? Glad to be here.
What's your favorite comic? Curious.
Punisher.
Punisher. All right. I had you more of a Spider-Man kind of X-Men person, but Punisher. Okay, got it. All right. Next up
is Mary Grove. Mary is the managing partner of Bread and Butter Ventures. She began her career working on the Google IPO and served as the founding director of Google for Startups. After her 15-year career at Google, Mary worked as an investment partner at Revolution's Rise of the Rest seed fund, where she led dozens of investments in a range of sectors, including healthcare, enterprise software, fintech, and future of work. Mary, this is a fun fact, Mary is a proud mom to 3-year-old twins. She and her husband met 10 years ago on a business trip in Baghdad, Iraq. They have been quarantining in Minneapolis this year with 2 kids, 2 cats, and a big dog. Welcome, Mary. We're really glad you can make this work.
Where is everybody right now?
I'm actually in solitude and silence. It's great to be with you. I'm honored to participate today.
We're glad you're here.
All right, and our 5th finalist expert judge is Dan Mindus. Dan is the founding and managing partner of NextGen Venture Partners, a seed stage venture fund, works with over 1,400 venture partners. Dan has been included in a Washington Magazine's list of 100 DC tech titans 5 times, counted 5 times. And his fun fact is that his grandfather invented the first automatic donut making machine, which sounds delicious right now. And he was rewarded with his innovation, or for his innovation, where his company actually took his grandfather out for lunch.
That's a big thank you.
That's a fun fact.
1950s industrial innovation.
Yep, got it.
Awesome. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Welcome.
All right. So here's what's going to happen. As our top finalists pitch, each company will pitch for 3 minutes. followed by 6 minutes of Q&A with all of you judges. And at that time, we will have our friend Bessie the Llama on screen during the Q&A to let us know when time is up. If you ask a question towards the end of it, we'll give the startup about 30 seconds after time is up to finish answering their question. So just be mindful of the clock.
Yeah, definitely. And we're ready to go. So our first top 5 finalist is actually, you know what? I forgot one thing. I've got a little surprise for you. I forgot to mention this. Actually,
I love surprises.
I love surprises. Right before we got started, I actually got a couple friends. They reached out and they sent me some messages, and I just sent them right before we got going to Joe, who runs our production team here at Established. And these are great messages to encourage these startups with some friendly words of encouragement and. I don't know. Let's just roll them. Let's go, Joe.
Congratulations to all of you participating in the Startup of the Year. It's been an incredible journey, so congratulations to each and every one of you. And to the 5 companies participating, well done. It's not easy to get to where you are, and you just never know. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe longer. We'll look back, and today will be the beginning of a world-class startup. I know you all have it in you, so good luck.
Startups, what's good? It's me, Gary Vaynerchuk. Hope you're well. Hope your families are good during COVID and everything. When my man Frank calls 8th annual startup session, incredible talent here. I'm so proud of all of you. Entrepreneurship got cool during the years that Frank and I met, but we both loved it long before it was that. Please enjoy your process and your journey. Please build businesses that come from your true soul, your heart, your depths, like you want to make this thing, not because it's the current crypto or AI or, voice thing that you think is going to make money. Reverse engineering, like what you think you can exit or raise capital for versus what you feel like you need to build because you want to see in the world, is always a vulnerability. Please build products you believe in. Please have patience. Please don't make raising capital the ROI, the big goal. Make it about finding something that customers actually want. Please enjoy yourself. Please say hello when I see you in real life. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. See ya.
All right.
Wow. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Those are really heartfelt messages, and hopefully it helps you all with the pitches here today.
Awesome. All right, Frank, let's get us started.
Yeah. So actually, I've got no more surprise. Well, I might have some surprises, but those are for later. You never know. All right. So our first finalist is Finmark from Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's watch their pitch.
Hi, I'm Rami, co-founder and CEO of Finmark. And Finmark is financial planning software for startups, making it simple for companies to manage their runway, forecasting, and cash. Just like Carta moves startup cap tables out of spreadsheets, we want to do the same for financial models. Because trying to manage your business off of an Excel sheet is painful. Founders don't have the background to build financial models. Instead, they rely on generic templates that aren't tailored to their business. And founders have so many other priorities that they never get around to keeping the model up to date, making it effectively useless. What's worse is that it's really, really easy to make mistakes in Excel that go undiscovered for weeks, months, or even years. For startups, all of this can mean the difference between thriving and dying. Not only does Finmark make building a custom financial model TurboTax easy, but we also automate keeping your model up to date through our integrations. Above all, we provide insights that only the best CFOs previously had. By benchmarking every metric and input across our platform, we can tell companies exactly where they stand relative to their peers. A company can literally start from scratch and have a detailed model in 30 to 60 minutes. This isn't a template. This is a custom-built model loaded with dynamic expenses and revenue drivers for each individual company, all without needing a degree in accounting. And with hundreds of thousands of startups that need us, we have a $1.2 billion market opportunity before even competing for enterprise business. Finmark is a tool I wish I had in my last startup, Distill Networks, which I founded, scaled to $25 million in recurring revenue, and sold for over $100 million. My co-founders and I are seasoned professionals that have held leadership roles at Microsoft, Citrix, Red Hat, and more. And since leaving the corporate world, We've been serial entrepreneurs that have raised over $80 million in venture capital and seen multiple exits. Finmark started as a Y Combinator-backed company and is now funded by a coalition of 15 of the most prominent venture firms, including Bessemer, Greenvisor Capital, Draper Associates, and more. We also brought in over 30 angels, mostly entrepreneurs, that have felt this pain firsthand and are excited to use us in their own companies. We launched our beta in July and then announced our limited availability on Product Hunt in October. We not only were crowned top product of the day, but we're also featured as one of the top products of the month. Through this earned media coverage and word of mouth, we already have over 1,100 companies that have signed up to use our software. So why don't you sign up today and simplify your financials? Thank you. We're Finmark.
All right, let's welcome Rami Assad to the stage. Welcome, Rami.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, judges, don't forget to unmute if you have a question. Hopefully you have your scorecards ready and you're ready to rock and roll. And who wants to jump in?
Rami, should I think about you as a poor man's Anaplan?
I wouldn't say poor man's, but an Anaplan for all the venture startups that Anaplan left behind, right? Anaplan really focuses on enterprise business. When I was running Distill, we were $25 million in recurring revenue and found Anaplan to be too cumbersome to install, too hard, too expensive to put into place. That's why 99% of the venture community uses Excel. And we want to come in and fill in that gap all the way from when you're a seed company to when you're a growth stage company.
Beyond, I'm assuming you have an integration of QuickBooks. How much integration is required to sort of keep this thing up to date? What integrations do you have today?
With one click, you can integrate your bookkeeping software or ERPs like QuickBooks and Xero. You can integrate your payment processors or like Stripe. We're finishing up integrations into payroll software like Gusto and ADP by Q1. And then also in Q1, we'll have integrations into your CRM. So every aspect of your business, we will have a plug into so that we can unify that data across your entire business.
Do you have to provide any professional services to
Nope,
do that integration? It's all
self-service.
Okay.
Hey, I got a couple of questions and just observations. I've never looked at Carta for an investment, but have used it on both sides of transactions, and as well as an LP. And I guess there's some network effects that I just see inherently in Carta's model. So I guess one question is, are there any network effect opportunities that have been identified maybe for the future? And the second thing that I think is interesting about Carta is, the ability to scale not only within the vertical and remain sticky throughout the evolution of a startup, whereas I would have a question as to whether or not once the level of sophistication or the stage went further enough down towards a liquidity event that startups would outgrow your solution. And so another thing that I like about Carta is not only can they scale up, but they can also scale out and go into some other adjacent markets with the data that they have. Like the most obvious is probably, creating a marketplace for private stock. How do you think about yourself within that context, since you mentioned Carta, network effects and scale up and scale out?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of network effects, that's part of our go-to-market motion. By bringing investors into the conversation and helping them have more visibility into their companies, a founder can easily share their financials with an investor, and then investors can have a portfolio level view of all of their companies in one single plane and run reports across them. So what we're hoping to have happen is a flywheel effect in which founders share their model with their investors. Investors like what they see and ask their other founders to also start using Finmark so that they can see everything in one place. They can run reports, do all of that. And we have one position that's focused on working with investors, and then they push it back down to their other companies share it with other investors, and that network effect starts going. In terms of Carta's stickiness over time, I totally hear you. They can go all the way up until the IPO process. What our ambition is to continue to scale up with companies and eventually run up against Anaplan and Adaptive Insights. These are really archaic companies that are hard to use, and we think that we can provide better modeling services over time for companies. We also don't think that we're hopefully going to be sticky enough that companies get embedded with us, we're the single source of truth. There's no other place in your business that you have customer data, payroll data, your future looking outlook, your historic information all in one place. We become the system of record. That becomes really, really hard to rip out. As far as expandability into other verticals, you're right. Financial modeling doesn't go very well into other places like marketplaces, but what we can add in are other services by partnering with people. We can become a marketplace for venture debt. We can become a marketplace for accounting services. We can become, by partnering with other organizations, we can bring in other services like auditing, financial auditing, and so on. So we can bring in other services to expand our addressable market.
Hey, Rami, can you, congratulations on what you've built to date. Can you clarify where you're at traction-wise and what the nature of the seed round was? It was a great group of investors. It looked like a lot of investors for seed round. What's the story there?
Yeah, so we got started in May. I pulled the team together in May, and we immediately went into Y Combinator and raised the seed round outside of that. I wanted to have a distributed group of investors. I had a lot of people that wanted to take up the entire round. Instead, we limited the availability of how much each person could take to at most 500K, so that I could distribute it across a lot of different firms like Bessemer and Draper and others, and so that I can have access to their portfolio. So now this coalition of investors, a number of them are actually putting Finmark into their term sheet, so that any future investment has to use us, and they're giving us access to their portfolio. So that's why we purposefully distributed the round. We actually were oversubscribed. We had to cut it close to keep under the $5 million raised amount. In terms of traction, we started in May. I scaled up very quickly to 22 employees that have worked for me before, mostly engineers. And we got out a working beta in July. We got out our limited availability product in October and started converting paying customers. There's 1,100 plus companies that are waiting to use our service, 150 of which have already started. We're slowly dripping them in so that we can learn and iterate as we give people access to our product.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Rami. Really appreciate it. Judges, great questions. Great to see you guys again, Rami. And all right.
Thanks so much
Judges,
for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Judges, get those votes in and let us know when you're done by giving us the thumbs up.
All right, so let's learn a little bit about some of our applicants.
Yeah, so this year is really interesting, as every year is, right? So we had this year, over half of our startups had a female on the founding team, which is phenomenal.
And 74% of our teams have had a founder of color, and roughly 20% were veteran-led companies. So
pretty amazing numbers so far, yeah.
All right, how are the scores looking? All good?
All right.
All right. I think we're good.
Yep.
We're going to move on to the next company. Next up, we have Glass from Berkeley, California. Let's watch their pitch.
Hello, I'm Paula Santana, founder and CEO of Glass, the next breakthrough in government systems. Governments are the biggest decision makers in the world, determining the way we live and the opportunities that we have to thrive. They're also the single largest buyers in the world. One of the most powerful ways that governments make decisions today is by allocating public funds behind the initiatives that they want to see happen in their communities. This is called government procurement, and it's a $12 trillion global industry that is slow and manual, hard to access for small businesses, and most importantly, where small purchases are overlooked. Let's look at the data. There are 160 million government credit card transactions every year. They're conducted by 8 million government credit card holders, which means that for every government contract that we check and obsess about, there are 40 credit card swipes that have been totally overlooked in the public administration. So enter Glass Commerce, the world's first government marketplace exclusively designed for small purchases without bids or paperwork. With Glass Commerce, governments can get goods, services, or rentals from verified vendors that are always guaranteeing their best government price. It's a very simple interface, no ads, and with one main call to action for government buyers: search. They can search, sort, add to cart, sort depending on what type of vendor they want to buy from. They can also check bulk discounts from these vendors, and they can have all this information in a centralized hub with all their digital receipts, category tracking, and check if they're fulfilling their socioeconomic goals, meaning buying from small businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and whatnot. The key is on micro purchases. These categories of purchases under $10,000 that do not need paperwork or bids. It's a $150 billion market only in the United States. I know that introducing groundbreaking technology into government is hard, but I've successfully done this twice. I'm a lawyer, government procurement expert, and second-time tech entrepreneur. And my first company is the one that has established the first drone delivery networks all around the world. So together with my team coming from NASA, the World Bank, Salesforce, and eBay, we've been able to launch a successful live government marketplace that has sold and successfully delivered over 4.5 million items from 100 verified small vendors in record times. We've worked with government, state of Florida, state of Illinois, Veteran Affairs, and have received government endorsements from many government agencies. So as a first mover, with a massive market and positive regulations, there's no reason why we aren't a billion-dollar company in the making. However, I believe we're on track to become a $100 billion company, and let me tell you why. The enterprise software industry is very mature. We have businesses using Amazon Business for their purchases, PayPal for payments, Oracle for budgets, and so forth. However, none of these solutions are in a simplified, single ecosystem for governments, and that's what we want to create, the tech infrastructure for modern governance. So we're in the business of simplifying every single government transaction, starting with small purchases, and invite you to take governments to the next level together. Thank you.
All right, welcome Paula Santana to the stage. Great to see you. All right, we're going to start our timer, and judges, jump right in with questions. Especially if one of you didn't get a question in the last round, feel free to start off.
Sure, I'll start. Paula, thank you so much for the great presentation. Great to meet you. I would love to understand more your current strategy around selling into the government sector, specifically at the various levels. What is that strategy? What does the sales cycle look like? What are the biggest, challenges, and how do you overcome them?
This is a great question. There are 90,000 government units. So if we start at the federal level, the federal government has a mandate to start using marketplaces in this year, in 2020, for any purchase under $10,000. So there's a straight mandate, and we just go directly to the procurement department. For a state and local, they're more decentralized, but they take up to 51% of government spend. So it's easier, it's a shorter sales cycle. It's like 30 days for someone to decide, and for them, it's just as deciding as adopting DocuSign or some other solution. The cool thing about the marketplace is that we can sell the marketplace in two ways. We sell it as a piece of software, or we actually sell things that they need. Like, we're like, do you have DocuSign? You don't want DocuSign, you want HelloSign? So we have like a whole menu of digital goods and products that they need, and we always can make a cut, and we always can make a sell. We also have a partnership with softwares that governments are already using. So basically, we become their checkout capability. So imagine an auction software or a software that allows a government agency to basically manage their contracts. We just become a click this link so you can check out with that price. So we build on top of those current softwares that governments have already purchased and are already using in their current infrastructure.
Paula, it's a great idea. We've had e-commerce for 20 years. How come no one has seized this opportunity before? Because governments are the latest adopters in the world. And this is the biggest opportunity here. Think about it for a second. We have Salesforce, we have the Oracles, the SAPs. And I understand why Silicon Valley and VCs do not want to invest in something that is so hard to access, so risky. And this is why the opportunity is huge, because you now take and you say, you see the trends. Governments are using more credit cards than ever. They're increasing the threshold. The threshold for these purchases was $3,000, and now it's $10,000 per credit card swipe. And we are decentralizing decision-making. So you insert a marketplace, as opposed to starting with the big, chunky contract management software like SAP and Oracle. You start on the bottom with the things that nobody's checking, these credit card swipes that are happening again and again. So this is where we want to start. We have already identified escrow services, warehousing services, insurance services to sell to government, because they are not familiarized with how to do this in a very simple way. So this was the opportunity. I'm an expert in government procurement. That's what brought me to the United States 10 years ago with a Fulbright scholarship. And I've been just watching this and waiting for this opportunity. Boom, 4.5 million items sold and delivered, when everybody here in Silicon Valley told me this is not a good idea. So I'm just like, I was fundraising. I raised $600,000, COVID hit, and I'm in business. This is what happens when you miss an opportunity. So,
Paula, to that end, could you talk a little bit more about the COVID acceleration of the business and a little bit of kind of what was your sense of what's going on behind the scenes and what does that mean for the next 6 to 12 months potentially?
This is a great question because I was not expecting this. I'm, doing the hard work, trying to raise money for my company. We basically launched in January. And as I was fundraising, we hit COVID and I'm thinking I'm out of business. I won't be able to fundraise. And then a little light bulb came up. I'm like, what is the only thing that's open? Government. What are they trying to do? Manage a pandemic. Can anybody else manage a pandemic? No. Okay, so governments need to do something that they didn't plan for. And they're the only ones that can actually deal with it. And they need to buy all these medical supplies that they have not planned to buy. Jackpot. I didn't see it. It took me a week. But then when it hit, I'm like, we repurposed the whole marketplace. We eliminated all the things that they were not buying. We just put a lot of PPE and a lot of electronics because everybody was working from home. And we needed to give governments tools to work remotely and handle a pandemic. So we started with small purchases, emergency purchases, spot purchases, because it's everything that you have not properly planned. And this is what explained why we did the curve of scaling. What we're seeing is that governments, they have more things that they have not accounted for than the things that they have a process for. They have new people that do not know the process, that have no training, and that now are working remote. And this is what we're seeing. They're consuming a lot of digital goods. This is why we're bringing DocuSign, HelloSign, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and we're selling all this digital service at a cent less. And even a cent less is sufficient to have a marketplace that is appealing for IT and procurement bosses to come and buy from us. So we just see this increasing, and this is only the US. We already have infrastructure in the US. So the sale here is a little bit more difficult, but in other places of the world, like Brazil, Dominican Republic, even in Europe, we are like closing deals in a week, just because the need is so huge for someone that has some level of curation for the vendors and a simplified purchase process.
You just talk a little bit about what's involved in qualifying vendors that are on your platform, because some of these PPE providers, you never get it. And then can you just talk about the business model and what sort of cut you're getting on these transactions?
Absolutely. So let me start with the last thing. Right now we're functioning as a normal marketplace, so we get a little cut. In any other marketplace or any other vendor, they would charge you 15% of the transaction. We charge between 5 to 14% depending on the level of the vendor. This is exactly the disruption that's happening here. We have the biggest purchasers in the world are not buying from the backbone of our economies that are small businesses, 30 million small businesses here in the US. By us helping these small businesses to, with a couple of clicks, start selling to government, we create them an online store, we digitize their catalog, all these things, we seamlessly connect them. The way we're doing the vendor verification is that we're taking all what these government procurement department guys do, basically check performance, check reviews, check if someone has a business registration, check the US Department of Commerce, and check a couple of other places. And we basically check that, and we know that they're good to start selling to government. And governments can see that on a screen.
Thank you so much, Paula.
Thank you. That's really interesting.
Appreciate you being here today. All right, judges, get your scores in. And for all of you out there, it's time for you to vote in the People's Choice Award.
Everybody can vote, right?
Everyone can vote.
Seems to be that kind of
so there's a link, est.us/poll. Make sure you go in there, check out all 100 of the companies, and you will vote for the People's Choice Award.
Yeah, they're broken down into verticals this year, too. So
right, so you can watch videos about them, see them by category. You get to vote in each category. And we're looking forward to seeing who those winners are pretty soon.
Yeah, we're actually going to announce the People's Choice Award of this summit on our Start of the Year podcast. So if you're not a subscriber to the podcast, go check it out. It's out there everywhere podcasts are available, and you'll be able to listen not this week, but next week when we announce it after the summit. So go subscribe, check it out. We have a lot of great interviews and whatnot on there, and we'll be making some fun announcements soon.
Yes. All right, judges, all good?
All right.
Cool.
Our third competitor is OYHEALTH. OYHEALTH comes out of Morristown, New Jersey. Let's watch their pitch.
Good afternoon. My name is Mario Anglada. I'm CEO and founder of OYHEALTH, an underserved medical community healthcare platform. At OYHEALTH, we focus primarily on chronic condition management, and we do that for a population that you see here is over 83 million folks in the underserved category. We hyper-specifically work with federally qualified health centers as our initial target and expand from that onwards. Within the federally qualified health centers, the opportunity is to take chronic condition management and support their healthcare journey. We do adherence, engagement, and chronic condition management. And what we do is we generate $740 per patient per year as our revenue from that engagement. We have a 3-pillar platform that is remote patient monitoring, telemedicine, and medication access program. It's launched to bilingual communities across the US, third grade education level, and we're one of the only companies that is doing a fully integrated healthcare system. Chronic condition management is our starting point, and this is what deploys our kits to our partners. We have $2.3 million in signed contract value to date, and we're doing this in Connecticut, Texas, California, Puerto Rico, New York as the first 5 markets. Telemedicine, we have an agreement with the National Hispanic Medical Association and their 55,000 doctors for $55 telemedicine, including medications. And we're launching this with a telecom partner in 2021 on a national basis. Our medication discount programs are 2. One is our voucher system, which allows me to gift medication to anybody in the US, or our discount program, which allows us to be able to generate significant discounts at any pharmacy that a member uses these products. Here's a competitive set and our differentiation. We have signed contracts across the US, and here you see our partners who have a vested interest in the opportunity that OYHEALTH presents to them because they generate revenue on transactions that occur within the platform. Here's our 5-year projections based on only achieving 5% of our addressable market in federally qualified health centers. Our unit economics are very strong. We have a bilingual, bicultural team, world-class advisory board, and to date we've raised $1.5 million. We're raising now a Series A of $4 million, which we have $2 million already committed. Year-to-date revenues are $750,000, and contract that we've signed to date represents $2.3 million. So I'd love to answer any questions you have related to our business and our model, and thank you for the time this afternoon.
Welcome, Mario and Glada. OYHEALTH.
Hello.
Hi there. All right, let's go. Judges, who's got the first question? Kick it off.
Hi, Mario. Thanks so much for that presentation. I'm curious if we could mentally track back to that partnership slide. There was a lot going on there. Could you talk a little bit more about the nature of some of those partnerships? It looked like everyone from the Mayo Clinic to Verizon. So helpful to just understand how some of that works and fits into the business model.
Absolutely, and thank you for the question. So what we do is we partner with institutions that have a vested interest in the benefit of primary care solutions to underserved medical communities across the US. And the partnerships can vary. So in some instances, like agreements that we're working on with the American Heart Association, we have a technology transfer agreement. So we can use their materials, we can engage with their healthcare professionals, we can bring that content to a community that historically hasn't had access to that information. With the Mayo Clinic, we're part of their business accelerator next year, and we're working with their technology transfer team out of Jacksonville, Florida. So that's the relationship and the nature that we have with them. And the rest of the partners, these are opportunities that are either a contract where we manage populations for these customers, or in some instances, we're about to launch consumer-facing, forward-facing solutions with one of our telecom partners in 2021. So it really depends on which partner we're talking about, but in theory, what they're doing is they're accelerating our business through exposure to their member base of our products, and either in a revenue share capacity, or we are their vendor and they pay us to do so. And in some others, it's a meeting of the minds to figure out how to adequately be able to provide a solution for the vast majority of the population that doesn't really have a viable access to healthcare today. And that, like you saw, it's over 83 million people in the US today with chronic conditions.
I have a question. Great work so far. The question I have is, we just finished an election, or at least for the most part, And I'm just wondering if there are any anticipated changes with the new administration coming in where new policies could impact your business and what your thoughts are.
So yes, we are attuned to what's happening in the US right now. The challenge that we're solving for it is a really old one, right? We access two areas of strategic intent to be able to inflect. One is cost, the other one is access to care. And whatever administration is going to be part of the next 4 years for us, the reality is those underserved medical communities, they've been this way for years and nothing has been done to date, right? And that's the Latino, that's the African American, that could be Asian American, anybody who doesn't have the traditional profile as a patient, or anybody who doesn't have health insurance. And remember that what's happening in the healthcare field right now is that you're getting to a point where over 50% of insurance premiums are high deductible. So I'm paying a ton of money for my health insurance coverage, and then I have a $25,000 deductible. So what we expect is our solution to be working with any administration, because our focus of going into vulnerable populations is and always has been a challenge. We're tackling it from a stakeholder benefit. Doctors love our model, patients love our model, clinics like what we're doing. And when you look at it and you go all the way to the payer system, we already are working with payers that have expressed very strong interest in what we're doing because of that vulnerable population set. You've probably heard the word social determinants of health. You tie primary care and social determinants of health, and that in essence is what's the big problem for the vast majority of the consumers that we're addressing. So we don't see any challenge. We think acceleration of our business model is going to occur regardless of who ends up being our next president.
Great, thank you.
Mario, thank you for the presentation. So I noticed that you're live today in 4 states in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
What is required? What does the roadmap look like to scale this nationally from a regulatory perspective? And are you developing the platform in a sort of modular way that allows you to roll out on a state-by-state or region-by-region basis?
Thank you for that question. And yes, we've built a modular platform for the following reason. So when you're providing primary care services, there are restrictions on licensing. So we have to make sure that doctor in Georgia can practice in Georgia, doctor in Puerto Rico can practice in Puerto Rico, and there's no cross-pollination. So we've created a system that does all the engagement, all the adherence, all the regulatory work in a simplified system. We work with partners externally who do credentialing validation. We work with partners who have high-tech solutions that are installed in millions of different clinics. So we took the approach of working with those partners that have pre-established businesses that are experts in each of the areas. From a regulatory perspective, what we are is what's called a DMPO, Discount Medical Product Organization. So that means basically discounts to consumers and a final disclaimer that we are not insurance. So it depends on how the product is deployed. In some instances, companies pay us to manage their patients. When we go direct to consumer, it's a DMPO product, and all that has been mapped out and validated by various legal teams across the development journey of our company, and validated with a lot of our partners externally as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is in last
one more
quick question?
Quick one, if anyone has it.
If not, that's okay.
Appreciate the time. Thank you. And thank you for the time and allowing us to present our company to you. We're grateful and honored.
Great to have you here. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Mario. All right, judges. Get that going. Yeah, healthcare, so important, especially right now in the global pandemic. So really interesting to see new companies innovating there. And obviously speaking about the pandemic, I don't know if you remember, do you remember early on there was there were a lot of articles floating around about cures, and there still are, but there was one specifically I remember because it was about llamas and how there might be some tie between llamas and COVID.
How did that pan out?
I don't know, but I do remember I actually did, this is kind of a weird random tangent story, but I actually did have a llama spit in my mouth once. So I'm hoping that helped. I don't know.
I don't think
Probably
so.
not. It's disgusting, but don't ever do that. I wouldn't advise it, but I love llamas, I guess.
Yes.
Even if they spit in my mouth.
Yes. So some of you may actually wonder why we always have a llama as our timer, or if you've been to our live events, we've always had llamas at the live events.
I'd love to have one right here.
Right. So very quickly, because we're running low on time.
Yep.
Why do we have llamas?
They bring joy. I mean, they really are curious animals and they bring joy. And I visited a farm about 15, 20 years ago and thought, wow, if this whole startup thing doesn't work out, maybe I'll become an alpaca or a llama farmer. You never know.
All right. So there's still time.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Jeannie from Washington, D.C. Let's watch their pitch.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Baker, CEO and co-founder of Genie, a gig economy platform on the verge of disrupting the $56 billion language service industry the way Uber disrupted the taxi business. Each day in the US, hundreds of thousands of conversations take place between caregivers and patients that are impeded by language. The potential for miscommunication is so high, risking misdiagnosis and mistreatment, billions of dollars in lawsuits, and preventable deaths. COVID has only underscored the urgent need to solve this problem. And providing live medical interpreting is the law. Tools like Google Translate don't meet these requirements and are considered to be an unacceptable, risky substitute. There's no way to meet these challenges without a modern virtual solution. Genie is a mobile platform that connects you to a video or audio call with a live interpreter for on-demand language assistance. With the tap of a button, Genie connects you to a qualified interpreter in under 30 seconds, right on the screen of your mobile device or computer, anywhere, anytime. Genie is the first and only gig economy model in our space, with thousands of interpreter contractors in 130 countries. We are targeting the over 250,000 small to medium-sized healthcare providers in the US, serving tens of millions of deaf and limited English-speaking patients. Incumbent solutions are outdated, built on call centers, landlines, and operators, with massive fixed infrastructure that is unable to adapt to a changing market. To pay for their capital-intensive model, they drive down interpreter compensation and inflate prices to levels only big hospitals can afford. Genie does it differently. We meet SME needs with the most affordable rates in the market, instant connection to interpreters, no logins, no call centers or wait time, mobile tech to go wherever care is needed, and all on a device our clients already have. Since winning the Startup of the Year pitch at South by Southwest, we've made great progress. In addition to adding almost 150 paying healthcare clients, we are acquiring new clients at a rate of 30% month over month. And our value proposition is really resonating with these clients.
Another word is genius, because I loved it. I used Genie and I was literally shocked. Like with a tap of your finger, somebody's available. My experience was very smooth and they were available like very fast.
Manju's free clinic in Richmond, Virginia uses over 2,000 minutes of Genie each month. With revenue growing at an average of 50% month over month, we're on target to surpass 100,000 monthly recurring revenue in Q1 next year. In addition to digital marketing and direct sales, we are also acquiring customers through partnerships with known industry players. This traction and our team's decades of industry experience has given investors the confidence to invest $4 million in our company to date. While focused on healthcare today, Genie is being courted by many other markets. Thank you, Established, for the opportunity to share our dream of Genie with you.
A catchy tune. That's a catchy tune. I love it.
Let's welcome Kirsten Breck-Baker to the stage.
Hi, thank you, Frank and Jen. Nice to be here.
Good to see you again. All right, judges, jump in with questions.
Hi, Kirsten.
Hi, Karen.
Is there any? Do the interpreters have to meet any qualifications? How do you find them? How do you qualify them?
They sure do. And especially kind of in healthcare, all of our interpreters have to be HIPAA trained. So they have to go through HIPAA training if they haven't already. They also have to be medically certified in their interpreting space. So it's not enough to have interpreting experience. They have to have 3 to 5 years of medical interpreting experience. And if their language pair has a medical certification, they have to have that certification as well.
Okay, so how are you finding these people?
In terms of sourcing them, we've been doing this for a while. We now have thousands of interpreters in 130 countries, as you saw in the presentation. But we use a lot of channel partners. We have kind of legacy relationships in this space. So we've known people both in the US kind of Department of Defense and other governmental programs. We've got a lot of relationships with people who have gone through those programs. We have relationships with university and graduate programs in language all around the world. So when people are exiting programs where they've learned language, they're actually being filtered towards us as qualified linguists. And then other channel relationships such as with associations of translators and interpreters, where we're
but
also
they're not exclusive to you, right? They're not exclusive to you. They might be doing it at a local clinic and then getting some extra time, and that's how the model works.
Correct. They're not exclusive to us, and in many ways our kind of flexible working environment that doesn't make them have to be exclusive has caused a lot of them to jump ship from a lot of our competitors onto our platform. Now we're kind of adding linguists, I think at this rate, at about 20% month over month.
Kirsten, thanks so much. Great to meet you. A couple quick questions. Congratulations on the scale and what you've built. I'm curious, as you think about scaling, and particularly some of the other industries that you noted on the potential roadmap, two questions. One, do you plan to continue fully focusing on the human live component, or do you plan to leverage a technical element as well? As question one. And question two, is it important that it remain synchronous, or is there any world in which it is asynchronous?
So first question, yes, there are a lot of kind of different future opportunities out there. When Genie first launched, even, we were originally approached by the travel and tourism business at the time, 320 traveling Chinese around the world. We even secured the contract to be the interpreting tool of choice for what was Tokyo 2020 Olympics, maybe now 2021, we'll see. But we made a significant, pivot to healthcare because of the need in healthcare and just sort of, the need to disrupt this space, old incumbent solutions. And obviously in healthcare, such as, also legal, but also areas like immigration and refugee support, where that human dynamic is so important, where like just one missed word could literally lead to, death, let alone, sort of lawsuits. In those kinds of spaces, it is so valuable that you have that human interaction. Again, Google Translate and machine translation tools, not even kind of complying with the laws you saw in order to meet those requirements. However, we would be remiss if we didn't see kind of opportunities down the road in certain industries where there's a certain component of the initial reaction that can be automated, and that could lead then into kind of the human interaction, which just allows us to kind of scale our human force. And some of those conversations have preliminarily been had with some of the machine translation companies already. We might be very interesting partners for them at some point.
Hey, just one quick question. Where does the risk lie for the lawsuits?
The lawsuits for the healthcare, it's really in the misinterpretation of a conversation, Lo. I mean, you can imagine, you're in a
right. Maybe a better question might be, who could get sued?
The healthcare provider.
Will the interpreter get sued? Will everyone get sued? Like what is that risk, and then how is that risk mitigated and managed on your end?
Sure. So the primary risk is to the healthcare provider, their payer, and their insurance company. Miscommunication between a physician and a patient is one of the primary drivers right now in contributing to misdiagnoses and mistreatment, as you saw. And literally, kind of the increasing number of lawsuits right now every year are significant, to the point where providers are quite nervous about using friends and family, which used to be kind of an easy replacement, to have them come. Now they can't do that. They also can't do it because of social distancing and COVID. And now insurance companies, even, like you look at Anthem in Los Angeles, they actually just decided they were going to start paying for interpreting for all of their healthcare providers because they see it as preventative instead of abortive, and all of the money that they can save doing it that way. Now, it's a fair question to say, well, what about your interpreters? Can they be sued in the process? And obviously, as a company in this space, we've taken kind of very careful and legal steps to make sure that that can't happen. We have user agreements with our interpreters as well as our customers, indemnifying everybody. We also have BAAs. So in the healthcare space, it's really important that we have these business associate agreements up and down the supply chain to make sure that we're fully HIPAA compliant, not just having HIPAA compliant interpreters, but a HIPAA compliant platform, especially because we're doing a lot of work in teleconsultations now with our conference calling system. And Lo, you asked another great question though last time about, what happens now with the new administration. And one kind of really interesting, fact that we've just recently learned, which was very exciting for us from a language advocacy group we know very well, is that the Biden administration and President-elect Biden actually has legislation being drafted, already partially drafted, that will in fact reimburse healthcare providers for their interpreting across the board. Right now, Medicaid does that, but he's looking at doing that across the board, incentivizing insurance companies and payers to actually support all of this as a step towards health equity and patient literacy.
All right.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kirsten.
Thanks so much.
Judges,
Thank you,
scores.
All right.
Oh my gosh, we already have been through 4 companies.
Wow, flying by here.
Yes, and just want to mention to all of you out there, there's still an opportunity as well to get your free domain.
How many people have great ideas out there? They want to get out there, you know?
Everybody,
right?
Everyone has an idea in the back of their mind.
Right.
And if you've been sitting on one and you're thinking, well, maybe I have some time right now.
We got another idea. What if you have a company already and you want to shorten it?
Right. Go to est.us/summitus and get your free .us. So grab your URL today.
Wow. These are some incredible companies. Last but not least, we've got Solo Funds out of Los Angeles, California. Let's watch their pitch.
Hi, I'm Travis Holloway, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Solo Funds. Solo stands for social loans and is community banking redefined. We are a marketplace where people borrow on their own terms and lend to reap the benefits. Solo provides the science. The problem is that loans under $1,000 are grossly mispriced, and institutional lenders have historically been unable to assess this segment's creditworthiness. Even before COVID, 78% of American workers were living paycheck to paycheck, and 41% of the country could not solve an emergency cash need of just $400. Solo was a double-sided marketplace where lenders can earn industry-leading returns while helping the people who need it the most. Borrowers can request funds with no formal application and receive funds within seconds. Solo makes money 3 ways: at loan origination, secondly, with a protection feature designed to help lenders mitigate the inherent default risk, and lastly, from recovery fees when delinquent loans are repaid late. We currently have a 19% take rate, which puts us among best-in-class category for marketplaces. Competitively, we're an outlier. Solo is the only small dollar, completely mobile marketplace that's powered by individual lenders that allows borrowers to create their own terms. Our marketplace dynamics are compelling. We facilitated more than 50,000 loans. We're currently pacing at an $18 million GMV run rate. We're growing at 40% month over month. We're matching loans in 1 hour with a default rate 3 times better than industry average. We've experienced stellar growth over the past 6 months. We've grown from 11,000 in revenue in April to over 240,000 in revenue for October. Our executive team is composed of subject matter experts across the board. My background's in finance, where I spent about 8 years as an advisor. My co-founder, Rodney Williams, is a 2-time founder. His first company, Listener, has been selected as a CNBC Top 50 Disruptor 4 times, and he's raised over $40 million. Solo is a full-time team of 19. We raised just over $6 million in our seed round from investors such as Impact America Fund, Techstars, and Plug and Play. Every day, we're proving the power of financial collaboration and true community banking. Join us.
Welcome, Travis.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Doing well, great. Great to see you again. And judges, let's get underway. We got Bessie, we're loaded up and ready to go.
Hey, Travis, maybe I'll jump in here. Really interesting what you're doing, and the pace of growth is extraordinary. So how are you achieving that?
Well, one, COVID has been an accelerant to the business, but isn't really the main focus over the last 6 months, which we spent some time rebuilding our product for the 6 months prior to April. We didn't have the foresight to know that COVID was coming, but what we did know was that we wanted to better protect lenders and we wanted to add in additional revenue sources. And the timing of launch in April couldn't have been better. So with that said, with lenders being able to better protect their loans against the inherent default risk, they're just funding more loans in general and experiencing better net lender returns. And then separately, now that we have additional revenue streams, we're able to see our revenue continue to grow. But with that said, 60% of American workers are hourly workers, and their incomes have been impacted significantly over the course of the last 7 to 8 months. With that said, there's such a lack of resources available for people to get access to these small dollar loans. Payday loans tends to be the number one option, which is 400% average interest rates, or borrowing from friends and family, which is extremely embarrassing and puts a lot of strain on relationships. So Solo being available during this very trying time is really what's accelerating our growth.
Great question. All right, who's next? Don't be shy.
Maybe I'll just ask a quick follow-up. So I think your answer was largely about the need, which is, I think, very clear. But I'm thinking about the go-to-market. So how are you acquiring these users?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? Partnerships? Do you have some viral strategy? How does that work?
Well, 60% of our downloads actually come from direct app store search, which goes to show how strong the word of mouth effect is for the company. Lenders and borrowers are having, positive experiences, and they're telling other individuals about it. From an actual CAC perspective, we have a blended CAC of just $8, which is phenomenal for the fintech industry, primarily in the lending space. I would put that among best in class for sure. And largely that's what's been driving our growth. Our biggest paid acquisition channels are social media, being Facebook and Instagram. But with that said, the word of mouth effect and what we call an organic halo is what's really accelerating the growth of the business.
Travis, thanks for being with us today. Congratulations on the immense progress, particularly the last 6 months. Can you walk us through the learnings from the data over that time as far as repayment or defaults? Would love to hear about that sort of the cohort analysis, so to speak, of the last 6 months.
Yeah, definitely. And what we're really excited about is the way that solo loans are structured. The average loan is just 15 days, which means we can tell you what happened with pretty much every cohort of loans since the beginning of the pandemic. We get a lot of data very quickly, which allows us to continue to update our model and essentially make our model smarter and more intelligent, which allows us to continue to keep default and delinquency low. What's really important here is the fact that borrowers who, they tend to repay these loans because they believe that they may need access to the capital again. When you think about the fluctuation of wages right now and the economy being half open and half closed, what we see is that borrowers tend to pay back their loans because they don't know if maybe they may need to use this resource again in the future. When you think about other lending companies that are deploying capital, they may not know the performance of those loans for 12, 24, 36 months. And when they give you a lump sum at one time at the origination of a loan, the borrower who's in a capital scarce mindset is making a decision on whether or not they pay these loans back or if they pay for the groceries that they need. But because our loans are such small dollar and very short-term loans, it actually gives us a competitive advantage when it comes to borrowers actually repaying these loans because, again, they believe they may need it in the future. And additionally, we have that data so quickly, it allows us to continue to optimize our underwriting model.
Makes sense. What's your biggest challenge right now?
Our biggest challenge right now is actually handling the demand. We're a pretty small but mighty team. We raised seed level funding. We're in the process of closing a Series A now. But with that said, we're growing at 40 to 50% month over month. And with a team, we're just kind of bursting at the seams. So with that said, this Series A that we should close here very soon will allow us to continue to manage the demand of this business as we don't see a slowdown coming anytime soon.
And Travis, can you just talk a little bit more about how you make money today and if and how that changes moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. So we make money, the 3 ways at loan origination, 2 from the protection fee, which we call solo lender protection. That's the ability for a lender to opt into a program, where we will protect their loan against the inherent default risk. If the loan becomes delinquent, we will actually give the lender back 100% of the defaulted loan or the principal amount in the form of a credit that can be reused within the platform. And then lastly, on recovery fees for loans that have been delinquent but have been repaid. I do think that in the future, ultimately Solo at its heart is a data company, and our goal is to provide a path to upward financial mobility for our users, particularly the borrowers, where they can get access to more traditional credit cards, they can get access to more traditional resources from banks, and leveraging that data to improve their situations, we can charge a fee for. But ultimately, we believe that we can become a more multifaceted banking solution for the underbanked, and really build that ladder from where they are today to a more traditional banking lifestyle in the future.
All right. Thanks so much, Travis. Thank you, judges, for those questions.
Thank you.
That was really interesting, and appreciate what you're doing.
All right. Are you guys good with your scores?
Give
you a second. For all of you out there, I think we should all join together now in a big round of applause for our top 5 finalists.
Phenomenal.
We want to thank each and every one of you for watching, and all of our judges. Your thoughts, your questions were super helpful, and to all of the judges who helped us get here throughout the week, because we had a lot of companies to look at.
A lot of help, a lot of great judges, a lot of great feedback. Thank you all for being a part of it and sharing your time and expertise.
Yep. And before Frank and I head off to the deliberation room, we'd like to introduce our VP of Engagement, Rich Malloy, to the stage. So Rich is going to lead a discussion with this incredible group of expert investors. They're going to talk about all kinds of different things. And honestly, we've done this for years with our top 5 finals judges. And some of the best discussions and nuggets of information come from this conversation. So make sure you stay tuned. And then in just a few, we'll be back with some exciting news.
Yep. Take it away, Rich.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Frank and Jen. We don't get a Bessie timer, so we don't know how much time we have, but I do love Bessie. And next time for the next in-person one, we can all go take a selfie around Bessie, because she does come to our conferences. So that was awesome. I mean, holy cow. I don't know how, I don't know who to pick. I mean, they were such great startups. But the one thing that I love about Startup of the Year is that there's always great geographic diversity. And so this year we've got Berkeley, Washington, D.C., LA, Morristown, New Jersey, Raleigh, North Carolina in the top 5. But I feel like it's easier now as a VC to invest nationally because everybody's doing everything Zoom. This is the norm for right now. How has that been for you to invest? Have you just always, invested over Zoom, or is this something new for you? I'll let anybody jump in.
It's definitely something new for me. I enjoy meeting the entrepreneur in person and visiting their facility. I think you learn a lot when you get a chance to visit their facility and see how they interact with their colleagues. So this is definitely something new. I would say it's definitely easier to take meetings. That's for sure. So probably the number of meetings I've taken has gone way up. I'm not sure that capital deployed has gone way up, but it's number of meetings has gone way up.
Yeah. And so are you meeting people from areas where you normally wouldn't?
Well, that's an interesting question because I'm based in Chicago, so I do cover a lot of places in the Midwest. But yeah, probably deeper into some of these Midwestern places that I wouldn't normally get in my car and drive to. Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, totally. Anna, what about from the Revolution perspective? The Rise of the Rest tour is top of mind for everybody that's outside, that's inland, if you will. But Revolution, has invested across the U.S. for years. So tell us about how has this changed for you?
Yeah, not a lot has changed for us other than the fact that we unfortunately can't physically be out on the road meeting people where they are, which is something that has been core to our DNA and our thesis. And we're obviously incredibly passionate about. But while people I think know and recognize our our tour bus. We are actually not a bus tour fund, and 99% of the investing that we do is normal course of business venture investing that we've historically done, largely over Zoom. And so I think I'm with you. I think the pace of deals feels really accelerated. I'm heartened to see a lot more folks, in particular from the coast, appear to be kind of picking up their heads and going, okay, if I can't go grab a coffee with you down the block, maybe it's not such a big deal and I can be investing with you across the country. We actually just took a look at this data internally at our end. We decided to look at the third quarter because I think 2Q is a little bit of a wash all around this year. It really felt like deals picked up in 3Q. So we took a look back from 2017 to today at early stage deals defined as pre-seed through Series A for investments outside of San Francisco, New York, and Boston. And not only are the number of deals up pretty dramatically from 2017 till today, but the percentage of coastal investors investing in those regions is up just under 10% from about 33% or so to 42%. So that's not necessarily like a COVID era phenomenon, but it's been great, I think, to see that acceleration over the last couple of years, and it hasn't petered out with COVID, which I think is really encouraging.
Totally. Yeah. Anecdotally, I have seen that and felt it, investing in the, in outside of the coasts. Dan, you guys for NextGen, you've got a very distributed model. How are you seeing, how is the Zoom investing changing how NextGen is working?
Yeah, so I think that Zoom is taking over all of our lives, right? If you want to invest, you gotta become okay with doing more and more work through Zoom, and as Anna and Karen mentioned, it can be more efficient when you don't actually have to hop on a plane or even travel across town to have a coffee. And certainly it opens up geographies in a different way. So we are negotiating with a company in Kansas City right now. That would be our first investment outside of sort of call it 8 cities, which are probably 8 of the 10 cities that you would expect, right, for our prior investment portfolio. So we're excited about that. I would say that there has been a conventional wisdom in venture historically that Rise of the Rest, among others, is sort of fighting against, and I think with a really interesting thesis. But the conventional wisdom is there's certain cities that allow for scale in a different way, right? That you can attract talent. If you are scaling, you can attract talent more quickly in some cities than in others. That allows you to continue to grow. And increasingly, these companies are virtual. We'll see where things are a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But the companies that I work with and where I'm on the board, they have to hire talent now, and they can't wait to get back to an office to do that. And so increasingly we're seeing people hiring from anywhere, and really time zones matter more than anything else. Not can you come to the office every day? So there's no reason a company in Kansas City can't hire talent from San Francisco or New York or Argentina or wherever it might be, and scale just as well as any other company that might be headquartered in Palo Alto.
Hey, Dan, call me on that Kansas City deal. I want to know what it is.
Limited allocation, my friend, as with so many of these things.
Although, Dan, there's no reason for that engineer to stay in San Francisco, quite frankly. It could
reasons to leave.
Move to the Midwest and have a lower cost of living.
Oh yeah, I bet a lot of real estate agents in San Francisco would lament, and New York will lament that phenomenon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was interesting to see the friends fleeing New York City and for the suburbs, and how that has shifted as well. Lo, what are you seeing from the Bay Area? For your investments, has that changed how how Plexo is moving and investing?
It hasn't really changed, only because we have been, pre-COVID, I think we did 3 investments directs where we hadn't met the entrepreneur in person. In fact, I think actually 4, and 2 out of those 4, we still haven't met the entrepreneur in person. So it's something that we had been doing. So maybe we're feeling a little bit vindicated to a degree, because Zoom had just become part of our lives. But no question, I think along with all the other panelists, what we're seeing likely will not be reversed. A lot of companies had already moved towards a distributed workforce. I mean, the one that I think of, GitHub is the one that comes to mind. But I think we've gone to the point where innovation didn't know any boundaries anyway. I mean, innovation doesn't know where city lines or state lines lie. Innovation doesn't know what the stock market is doing or what the economy is doing. Innovation happens anywhere. There is no geographic location that has a monopoly on good ideas. I think what we have seen, to Dan's point, is that historically it's just been easier for companies to be able to scale certain aspects, whether that's hiring or having a density of people when going to the office needed to happen. And I still think there is some benefit to going to the office, but there's a lot of smart entrepreneurs that are working on replicating a lot of those things that are inherent inside of an office, like the serendipity of having an impromptu meeting or having a colleague get up to speed quicker because they're in an open seating environment and they have the ability to kind of hear what their other colleagues that are more tenured have to say. And so I think there are certain aspects that will ultimately be replicated by all the smart entrepreneurs. It seems like every GP that I talked to recently that's doing something in enterprise, it's all about future of work. So everyone's thinking about these ideas that need to be put in place to solve for things that we hadn't ever encountered before in a hopefully soon post-COVID world, where some of the behaviors that we're experiencing today become some of these new norms. So it's exciting to see. I think a lot of folks are going to be able to invest in great entrepreneurs, and people are going to need to eat their own dog food.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, definitely. Yeah. And Mary, so you're with Bread and Butter Ventures, striking out and raising a fund. Karen, you're raising Exposition too, right? And so, what is that like? Communicating, catching up, meeting, networking with LPs, trying to raise a fund in this era.
Well, it's been a fascinating year on every level, no doubt. And so my quick story is, earlier this year, I teamed up with my partner, Brett Brohl, to evolve his previous fund, the Syndicate Fund, into Bread and Butter. So, all during this remote period, to debut a new firm, to actively deploy capital, and to fundraise at the same time. It's been fascinating. But I think, for me, my personal inclination, and I grew up at Google for 15 years in highly distributed teams. The last team I was a part of and built was distributed across 17 time zones. We could only ever be together twice a year. So I think I've become very familiar and comfortable with remote work, distributed work, both directly, but also in working with entrepreneurs. And so it's been wonderful. It's been efficient. We've made 7 investments since June, all of which have been virtual. 2 of those are based in Minnesota, where we are headquartered, but we haven't met in person. And so, it's just to keep everybody as safe as possible. But I feel like the deal flow has been stronger and higher quality in both volume and diversity in every sense of that word than it's ever been. And I think it's because a lot of entrepreneurs are coming off the sidelines, and our firm Bread and Butter focuses specifically on what we think are the bread and butter sectors of the modern economy moving forward, which are food tech, health tech, and enterprise SaaS. And that maps to our Minnesota backyard here. And so I think it's been, advantageous overall. From a fundraising perspective, that is challenging. I mean, the plus side, as somebody noted earlier, is it's easier to get meetings. People are much more willing to entertain that quick Zoom. And so part of it, as we feel for entrepreneurs too, it's relationship building, whether it's for this fund or the next one, or this round for them or the next one. It's a great time to just leverage that. I wouldn't call it downtime, but that virtual time to build more connectivity and build more relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow. I love it. I definitely have seen we talked about this, or this came up earlier as well, as the speed at which fund or deals are moving, and the competition for that as well has been changing pretty dramatically. Karen, what have you been seeing for Exposition, and how has that been going?
I think on the fundraising, I mean, to some extent, it's very similar to an entrepreneur trying to raise funds. At the beginning, of COVID, I think everybody was in crisis management mode. What's happening in the portfolio? For the venture funds, and then for the LPs, they were trying to look at what's happening in the underlying portfolios and get a sense of what to expect there. So I think that we went through a period where nobody was really doing anything. Then I think we went through a period where LPs were making investments in funds that they already had in their pipeline, where they had an opportunity to meet them. And I think now we're starting to move beyond that to like, how do you start doing investing in funds that were in your pipeline where you hadn't had a chance to meet people before? But certainly, I'm getting I'm having more meetings than I thought possible, and I think candidly, actually, probably the cost of fundraising has come down because I'm not, traveling all over the country to visit these LPs.
Absolutely. So, Mary, you or Dan, go ahead.
I was just going to jump in that I think, Karen's absolutely right. Raising money for a fund manager there's a lot of an analogy there to a startup raising money from venture funds themselves. It's a lot of work. It takes time. Hopefully there's some empathy for entrepreneurs who have to raise money from folks like us. But I would just, echo Karen's point that I think in many ways it's easier in a COVID environment. So we had that experience where we raised half a fund pre-COVID, hit pause when it looked like, who knew what was going to happen in the world, and then waited a few months and said, what, business is sort of getting back to normal, and completed the fundraise. And it was, raising the second half was easier than raising the first half. And I think part of that was just people growing accustomed to doing business virtually. And you do lose something with that, but the pace can go faster, and there's a lot to be said on the positive side for that.
Yeah, so do you think, so curious to everybody here, do you think that the pace of, the way that deals are moving is because it's just easier for everybody to just hop on a Zoom and you don't have to meet in person? Or do you think it's because there's more funds from the coast coming in and participating? Or both?
I think it's that later stage funds who are not as comfortable writing a $5 or $10 million check over Zoom, but are sitting on dry powder and can get really comfortable with, a handful of shots on goal with like a couple $500,000 to $2 million checks, are putting some pressure on the market. That while absolute number of deals are not up, the best deals, there's more competition for the best deals. So anecdotally, we saw a deal out of, I won't name the state because literally this is like probably one of the only companies that's going to raise this amount of funding in that state, but like multiple term sheets after the deal was locked. There was, a follow-on round that was done with a convertible note, a cap that was like $10+ million above where the round priced, like extraordinary, like that kind of momentum we weren't necessarily seeing before. So I think there's some competition coming from some of these later stage funds, and candidly, I'm not sure that's a great thing over the long term for the life cycle of some of these investments, because you need to make sure that there's sort of incentive alignment across the investment syndicate. And if you've got a lead where, the check is a lot smaller than they might historically write, they might be happy to orphan that deal if it doesn't go up and to the right as quickly as they expected. So I think it's a mixed bag, and we're very much so in a, too early to say moment in terms of how this plays out holistically.
Yeah, interesting. Is anybody else seeing, later stage funds turning into multi-stage funds?
Definitely seeing that, and seeing the trend of, we've been on the ground Midwest for a while, and there's always been some degree of interest from our coastal colleagues for deal flow, but that has increased by multiples, I would say, as far as opportunities to help our current companies with additional fundraising. And I think you just have more companies in market, period, right? Including the model of we're opening up the round from last year at the same terms to try to extend our runway by a little bit. We saw a lot of that early in the summer, or seed extension, and we're just going to more advantageous economics for the investor right now. And maybe that'll shift, but I also have seen the reverse of, the hottest deals in our market will be in our market of Minnesota, that is being snatched up. The round is done in 2 weeks with 6 term sheets from coastal funds with no time for diligence. And, fortunately that the goal is to build that relationship over the course of time. So we have a seat at that table, but definitely a dynamic that we're seeing.
Yeah.
So I think just, as a general matter, COVID has accelerated a lot of trends that I think you could argue, well, for as terrible as COVID is, you could argue are helpful for innovation, which is capital has become more fluid across geographies, labor has become more fluid across geographies. We saw today with many of these startups that they have tailwinds because of COVID. The need for their product is much greater. The ability in some cases for them to deliver that product is better than it was pre-COVID. So, I think as Lo was saying, it is a great time to be in the innovation economy. While unfortunately there's so many terrible things happening around us.
Absolutely. And that, ties back to the quality of companies we've been seeing have been incredible. I really feel like, the last few months the qualities have been pretty extraordinary. So it's been pretty awesome to see. So I think, go ahead, Karen, I'll let you jump in.
I was just going to say, it's been pretty gratifying to see that really qualified entrepreneurs who bring deep domain industry expertise are launching new businesses during this time frame, and that's exciting to see. I'm seeing a lot of that in the Midwest.
Yes, yeah. I love deep domain expertise. And, it's like what Gary Vee said at the beginning, you have to build a product that you're passionate about and that you're going to, that you care about deeply and that you're going to, transform the world with this. Because let's face it, entrepreneurship is hard. It is so hard. And we all feel for the founders and the entrepreneurs that have got to wear every single hat until they can hire one person to take one of those hats away, and then hire the next person to take one of those hats away. And then they've got to put their whole business on pause while they fundraise, and then, go out and take it all from there. So it's, it is a hard journey. It is a rewarding journey, but for those that are dedicated to it, you can't think about doing anything else. So thank you all for your support for startups everywhere, for the startup ecosystem, for Startup of the Year. We're so grateful you spent time with us today, that you got to meet some of the companies from our community. With that, I'm getting the word that Frank and Jen are done with their deliberations and have reviewed all the votes and the comments that you put in. So thank you for all of that. And please welcome back to the stage, Frank Gruber, Jen Consalvo.
Hello.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks so much. Hopefully you had a good time.
Yep. Great conversations.
Awesome.
Can't wait to hear.
Awesome. Yeah, we deliberated and deliberated.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun.
All right.
So thank you, judges. Thanks for sharing everything there with the audience. And now it's the time we've been waiting for, with the 2020 Startup of the Year award ceremony.
Yes. Let the party begin. Okay, our first prize announcement today is for the .us Veteran Startup of the Year category. So I'd like to invite Crystal Peterson, Head of Global Sales and Channel Management for .us, to the stage.
Welcome, Crystal. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Frank. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Crystal, you and I spoke a few days ago at the kickoff of the summit, and can you believe we're already at this point?
I can't. It's fantastic. The summit has been such a wonderful experience. We're so excited to have the soon-to-be named .us Veteran Startup of the Year. It was great to speak with you and the startup community during our Ask Me Anything. And so, the team and I here at .us are always inspired by all of the amazing companies and projects, being used on .us, and we hope everyone learns something from the session.
Yeah. So we are so grateful for our partnership with .us this year and your commitment to the overall startup community, and of course to helping us find the very best veteran-led companies. And, as a quick overview for our audience, nearly 20% of all applicants were U.S. veteran-led companies, 18 in the top 100, and 3 today in the top 5 finalists.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So the winner will receive a $10,000 non-dilutive cash prize, which in this particularly challenging year, obviously, is much appreciated. And Crystal, would you like to do the honor?
Absolutely.
Let me get the trophy.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Awesome.
Heavy one.
So on behalf of .us, we are thrilled to announce that the 2020 .us Veteran Startup of the Year Award and the $10,000 cash prize goes to, a little drum roll, Jeannie. And congratulations, co-founder and CEO Kirsten Baker. We are so excited to have you here. So congratulations and welcome back to the stage, Kirsten. Also, congratulations to your co-founder and father, Richard Brecht, who has served our country in the U.S. Air Force from 1959 to 1963. Thank you so much for your service, sir. Congratulations on being awarded this year's .US Veteran Startup of the Year.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you so much. And thank you to Established for making this particular category very important to all of us. And thank you to my dad and my co-founder, not just for his wonderful service to the country, but for his wonderful service to his family and his daughter.
Congratulations, really exciting.
Yes, so Jeannie was also our South by Southwest Fast Track winner, and in doing so garnered an investment from Established Ventures, and now they came back for this opportunity. So let's all grab a quick photo, including our judges. If everyone could smile, look in their cameras and smile on the count of 3. This is instead of our photographer these days. 1, 2, 3. Cha-ching. Okay.
All right. Congrats, Jeannie. Thank you so much, Kirsten and Richard. Keep up the good work. It's really great stuff you guys are up to, and we love it. We love everything about it.
Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you, Crystal and .us, for that new exciting category this year. Obviously, really appreciate everything you've been doing.
Yes.
And obviously,
thank you.
Thank you.
Big trophy will be on the way too.
Yes. All right, so exciting. And now we're ready for the final announcement of the day. But before we announce the 2020 Startup of the Year Grand Prize winner, we do need to share with you some of the prizes that will be gifted to our competitors this year. First, something being gifted to all of you, all summit attendees. Gather Voices has graciously offered a prize. It's a platform where you can collect videos from anyone, anywhere, on any device. They're offering 90% off their platform. Again, for all of you attendees, enjoy this great offer, especially valuable during this time in the pandemic. Maybe you haven't seen as many of your loved ones. So thank you for that. And next, shout outs for the prizes that go to all of our top 100 semifinalists. Amazon Web Services, also known as AWS, is an on-demand cloud computing platform and APIs. They're offering $5,000 in AWS Activate credits, 1 year of AWS business support, and 80 credits for self-paced labs. So check that out. To go hand in hand with AWS prize, our sponsor Cloud 303 is offering the opportunity to earn even more credits with AWS Activate through their partnership programs. And Twilio, a cloud communication platform, is offering $100 credit to those with a Twilio account. And the second place winner will receive up to $2,500 in credits, and $5,000 in credits will go to the grand prize winner. Founders Card, which is a passport to the entrepreneurial lifestyle, is donating a complimentary 6-month membership to all of our top 100 companies. And Havoc Shield, which offers small business cybersecurity, is offering 60 days free of Havoc Shield's platform.
Awesome. Some great prizes there. Everyone should be really excited about that. And our 2020 champion will also receive up to $5,000 in credits from Twilio, a fluency score, which is like the FICO score for startups. It's offering your complimentary score, as well as a product market fit coaching session. So you'll get that as well. We've got some friends in Las Vegas. We used to live there. Our friends at Ross & Snow, who make some amazing shoes, are going to be offering his and her pair of shoes for the winner. And Covalent Logic, our Startup of the Year official design partner, is going to be offering 10 hours of PR and marketing support, which is pretty cool. And then finally, just in, a new one, URLpurchasing.com is going to be offering a stealth acquisition domain package, which is basically to help domains get acquired basically on behalf of your company. So if you're looking for that domain, or maybe you're trying to figure something else out in your domain strategy, she'll offer an hour of services to help make that happen. So really cool there. And obviously our big grand prize, aside from the trophy over my shoulder, which everyone really wants to put in their trophy case, our one of the top companies will receive a $20,000 investment from Established Ventures. But there also could be other companies too, as we continue to invest in Startup of the Year companies throughout the year. So thank you to all of our prize providers. I'm ready to go. I'm super amped. This has been what we've been waiting for a year now, since we were in Memphis. I mean, and the world has literally changed.
It's absolutely different. Yes.
Definitely. So, and I should also mention, every year we say that, that it was close, right? Like, oh, it was a close call or whatever. This year was more close than ever, ever before. So while, we're only going to name one Startup of the Year at this moment, Established Ventures is going to look at all 5 of the top finalists for a potential investment, because my goodness, they were all phenomenal.
And basically from the judges' scores that we got today, they basically validated that all 5 of these companies were deserving and that they're all rock stars, and, made our job a little tougher.
Yeah, no, that's why we were delivering a little longer than we thought. I mean, but it all works out. Great companies, and we're excited about the outcome, and obviously want to support all of them with their journey as we build this Startup of the Year community.
All right, so we're going to have a drum roll, and the winner of the 2020 Startup of the Year is Solo Funds
from Los Angeles, California.
All right, welcome to the stage, Travis.
All right, let's bring Travis back here. Congratulations, Travis.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Super excited.
2020 Startup of the Year. You're going to get one of these puppies too.
I love it. We are so thankful. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to Established. Thank you to everyone. We really appreciate this opportunity and are so thankful to be a winner amongst such a great group of other companies. I hope the other founders, we can stay in touch, but really excited to be amongst this group.
Oh, great. And we will help make that happen. We want to bring it back. Like we've got, all week we've had different founders from our alumni come back and share their thoughts and journey along with, at the different sessions. So we're going to continue to do that, and obviously continue as much as we can to help you along the way and with your journey. So we're excited to have you as part of our alumni and obviously our winner, and look forward to being a part of the journey.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let's get a quick photo together.
Let's get that photo.
So hold up the trophy. Sorry that you can't.
It's a little awkward. I don't know what to do with it. Should I put it in front of my face? Like what? Okay,
we'll hold it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Thanks again.
For the virtual click.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it in my head anyway. All right. Thanks so much, Travis, and congratulations. Now, we're getting ready already for the next year, right? We turn the page quickly. It was such a great year, 2020, as far as the companies. This year's been a wild ride, but as far as the companies go, it's been phenomenal, and it's been a really interesting year. We were able to bring things online and really showcase a lot more companies and help them along the way. So we're already looking forward to 2021. We got our Startup of the Year program going, and as well as some of our tangential programs that we work with. And we're excited about it when the Established team is fired up to find those companies everywhere and working with our partners, as we mentioned earlier. So you can go out there and sign up now to get notified about these programs. So go to established.us/programs, and you can sign up and get notified about things like our daily DEALFLOW newsletter and other things. We've got a podcast out there that will be continuing to pump out amazing content at Start of the Year podcast. It's out there on every platform. And obviously go to Startup of the Year or startupofyear.com to learn more about the program. And if you know a great founder or entrepreneur with an idea, obviously send them our way. We'd love to connect and get them involved in some of the things we're doing. So thank you everyone who made this week possible, and it's been a great show, and really appreciate everything everyone's been doing.
Yes, thank you all for joining us. Again, we know how hard it can be to juggle between being home and working from home. We appreciate you being here, and we can't wait to see you all again soon.
Yes, so everyone out there, be well, be kind to one another. We're still dealing with a lot. We're not through 2020 yet, and hopefully that it gives you some of the stuff you saw this week, gives you inspiration to go out there, and if you have an idea, start it today. Today is the best day to start, not tomorrow. And it doesn't mean you have to launch today. You can jot it down in your notebook and start whittling away. And someday you'll be out here pitching to us.
Right. And maybe you'll be the next Startup of the Year. Take care.
Look forward to seeing you soon.